Okay, guys, just one small comment at the beginning. During the presentation, if I'm going to say about anything that people do or people say, I'm talking about the general people, not about everyone. So every rule have some exceptions, okay? So the challenge is to increase Beats brand preference among people 45 years and older. There is just some ground rules that Beats didn't take almost any market share out of their competitors. They created their own market. So when Beats launched, a lot of people didn't use expensive headphones. They just launched this to have this target audience. Then people mainly don't buy Beats for sound quality. They buy it for the status. So I'm not saying that Beats doesn't have a good sound or anything. They have a very good sound, but people just don't buy it for this reason. So mainly Beats are focused on teens and adults. But if we're going to talk about teens, mainly they don't have a lot of money to purchase a $300 headphone. So there is some facts that 53% of adults prefer Sony headphones. That's a research on Statista. And Beats are one of the most recommended gifts for teens. If we are going to do an online research about what gifts should we bring for our children or whatever, you will find that Beats is everywhere. Then 46% of US teenagers prefer Beats over any other headphone. So it's just as simple as adults are buying Beats, but just not for themselves. So just again, as a basic rule, every teen has a role model. And I guess that every one of us, when we were younger or even now, we have someone that we are looking up to. So those teens are looking up for someone that they can be like. And just quoting for our instructor, Georgia's instructor, Marta Insua, the vice president of Alma DDP, she was talking about that back in the 90s when they were trying to promote something for the baby boomers, they were promoting it through their children. So they are trying to convince the children to like this thing so their parents can buy it. This is just some simple reviews about people buying Beats. Bought them for my grandson's birthday and he loves them. So one of the simple facts as well that parents are just trying to do everything to make their children be part of their community and of their society. So they try to blend them in to have a better social life. So the question was, how do we get adults to see Beats as an empowering for teens? As it's a tool that helps their children to be a better person, to be a better part of their community. And that's when we came with those.
So our first concept is that the Beats are the tool that transform the kids to be the greatest version of themselves and lets them dive into whatever reality they want and make everything what they long for come true. So this is just an example of an execution for this concept, which would be a printed, which would be interactive. It would say to elevate the talent of this young teen. And basically, the little tab on the left side, you just pull it up and it transforms the entire image. And this way, the parents get the sense of empowering their kids. So yeah, it would be a printout, probably in the magazine.
So for second concept, we asked ourselves, or it's called, are headphones really isolating? So Usually the headphones are seen as these things that kids or teens use, and they just isolate themselves and become a part of their own reality or their own world. So we wanted to change that with this concept and making it a tool to actually be connected. It's, it's using it in a way that it resembles like the family value of being united. So for that, we kind of do like this little execution, or how it will be like this putting into a picture of these, let's say, international student as we are, that it's getting there for its first day at school in studying abroad. And this is actually like the headphones are the ones that are letting her receive these voice notes of her mom telling her that everything's gonna be okay, that this new adventure she's being part of, it's gonna be great. And for our second concept, we call it "Kids Do as They See," thinking of the values that usually parents are like the role models, or usually teens or kids follow certain people that encourage them to do things in their lives. So we have like this example of how Michael Phelps once visited this kid when he was 12 years old. He was becoming a swimmer, and then he beat him in Rio in the Olympics. So it's like a way in which we want to use beats as this tool that's gonna make them follow their role models, and like this, usually like swimmers or popular people use them like really constantly. And that's it. Thank you.
Yeah? Okay. Thank you. Okay. I just want to recap what the assignment was. The assignment that Beats is very popular with teens, right? Not millennials. Is that right? Or no? What was the client's situation? Young people. Didn't they say teens at one point? Yes, they've saturated teens. I'm going with that. If that's not correct, just hear me out on some strategic foundational stuff that will help you, I think, move, like maybe reframe and understand kind of, you have some good points up front where it's good to say that, maybe people are buying this for status, not just the music. But to make such a claim up front to say people aren't buying this for music quality, which is every claim they have and the reviews that they have, you did say that, and then you corrected yourself. You said that. Use the mic. Oh, what? That would require research to show that people aren't just buying it, and to sort of soften the assertion that people don't buy it for sound quality.
Because like the basic online researches, YouTube videos, Google ads, everything, Google search, everything. Is there any comparison between Beats and any other headphone? Everyone is saying that Beats is not the best quality for this price.
Put that up there. And that's a great proof point for your point, that it's more status than sound quality, even if they try to claim it. Because you're showing real consumer reaction.
And in a conversation with Dr. Dre, he was saying that Beats is more of a status for the people. It's not just for listening to music.
Put that up there too. Those are really great support points from the consumer and even the product developer. Yeah, it's about this too. That was just a point on just making sure the point came across kind of in a believable way, and you have support to use it. But particularly if you're revealing something new about sort of the real product experience versus the, positioning. Now, what I want to pull apart here is when you went through that argument about adults buying it for their teens, what you're really identifying is who's the key purchase decision maker, where even if you're reaching teens, it's that, what you talked about with the strategist telling you how in the 90s they targeted the teens to reach the boomers. That's an influencer strategy, or you reach the parents directly. You're not really changing your market, which is what they were asking you to do, was to change the market to be more relevant with 45 plus, sort of for them. You're just saying we're going to focus more heavily on the parents now for their for like the benefits that Beats provides their children versus making it cool. So that's, I just want you guys to be clear when you're doing that kind of a shift in strategy. It's not a new audience. It's just what you found was a way to talk to them directly, right? Talk to the parents on their terms directly to shift kind of the conversation, the framing of Beats. But still the end users, the teens, right? I just look at your presentation and just see where you can make that a little more clear, because you're not trying to own now relevance with 45 plus for them to use as the end user. So when you, but just before I forget, okay, we do have time. They finished early. Yeah. Sorry, but I lost my train. When you then work that through, think about what your one key message would be for your strategy, because what happened with your creative concepts is they were 3 different strategies. They were 3 different strategic foundations. They're probably all sound, but they weren't creative concepts yet. They were strategic ideas based on insights that I would challenge you to articulate. Pick one lane. Maybe there's a way to capture something about all of them and make a bigger idea. You have to look at it, but in a presentation like this, the planner should be presenting kind of that insight that led to not just an objective, because your strategy reads like an objective, but what is the actual message that's going to achieve that objective, to make it more meaningful to parents for their teens. And then you have some great concepts, but those are 3 different kinds of frameworks to meet that, and that's your strategy. So that's the kind of work you just have to finesse. There's some really good thinking in that approach. Just make it really clear in what you're trying to achieve, how you're using this audience, and what the strategy is. Then you'll have more creative time too.
I think that, from a creative standpoint, the way that you're presenting your strategy, as she's saying, it's like it makes your creative sound like a brief. You know what I mean? It's very straightforward, because the strategy should be evoking enough so you can have the storytelling help the creative accomplish greatness with a great creative idea, which I think that from a creative, again, standpoint, the ideas, pick one of those lanes, because those are different strategies, as she's saying. It's like that when that happens is when you have to, as a planner, take a step back and say, okay, hold on, you guys are going 3 different directions. Where's the direction that we feel is the most powerful one? What is the one that we can support better in terms of an insight standpoint? You know what I mean? From a storytelling standpoint.
The 3 concepts or the 3 ideas should be mainly about empowerment. That wasn't
not just
or something?
Go back to your
Yeah.
strategy slide so we can show you what we mean.
Which slide?
Before. The ask. The ask. Yeah. Keep going.
The act? Okay.
Yeah, there you go. This is an objective. It's not the strategy yet. Even if it's just a matter of rewriting it, Beats are the empowering tool for teens. Do you know what I mean? Beats empower teens to live their best life, however, or achieve their full potential. I'd like to know how it's empowering in your strategy line. Like, is it to reach potential? Is it to live their best life? I don't know.
I think to that sense, I think the one that should be used as, like, if you tell me, okay, pick one of the routes, go, if you can go, this one, go back.
So Beats connects you.
So, no, go right after that. Okay. Well, first, in terms of storytelling, creative shouldn't always be presented so, it's minimalist, the design, everything, but try to romance it a little bit more. You know what I mean? It sounds like ta, 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 ta. And it's like, come on, dude. It's like, be more convinced of what you're saying so it sounds powerful. And this is just a general in terms of presentation. Be convinced of what you're saying, because if not, you're going to sell it. If you stumble, what's happening? You're not convinced with what you're presenting. You know what I mean? That's how it's, from here, that's how the perception. That's why it's so important that you see yourselves in the video after. So you see what I mean. In this one, what I really like is the single-minded thought of, there's an insight there. Are headphones really isolating? That can be one slide. That's a strategy. This is a strategy. This, in terms of the one that I think that from a creative.
And the message.
Yes, I think that this one is the one that captures. If that should be your slide, And then you should present creative based on this strategy.
Because also the swim guy Phelps, that's kind of a tactic using an influencer. Do you know what I mean? And it's maybe not a big idea on its own.
And you can just put it as part of this platform that we're presenting, you know what I mean? Like try to think on your ideas that instead of just single-minded executions, think bigger. When it's at Beats, they have money, you know what I mean? Like they're not gonna be like, oh, it's $10,000 more, no way. You know what I mean? It's like, if it's a cool, kick-ass idea, they're gonna go for it. So you have to sound like that first. Then second, you have to convince them that, oh, this is a kick-ass idea. I need to invest this amount of money because my return of investment is like what Myriad were presenting. At the end, they were like, okay, so who should I talk to? You guys need to tell me. It's like, in a way, we are defining that with the strategy. We are telling them, this is where you should go. This is how it needs to sound at the end of your pitch. Like, wow, like you guys understand my brand and you're elevating it. That should be always your final goal. Cool. I think that this one captures a great strategy, in my opinion, but
Yeah. Good job.
amazing. Thank you. Next.